Is AI going to be replacing your dermatologist and making healthcare workers and physicians obsolete? Well, not quite so fast. I'm a board-certified dermatologist. Welcome to my channel, The Skin Real, where I give real people real skin education and guidance so that they can make informed decisions about their skin health. Sound good? Let's get into it. This is my weekly recap episode where I share my key takeaways from my most recent video. And this week I was chatting with Dr. Faranak Kamangar. She's not only a board-certified dermatologist and engineer, she is also a health tech guru, and she has actually created an AI derm-focused platform called Derm GPT. So if you want to hear my full episode with her, which I really highly recommend, be sure to stick around to the end of this video where I will be linking it. She was sharing with us how she has always loved tech. She's an engineer by training, and she felt like the whole world of AI, as super cool as it is with ChatGPT coming out a couple years ago and really sort of revolutionized how we get information, she felt like there was a need for a more skin-focused one, or one for dermatologists. And so she created this platform known as Derm GPT. Now, she originally created it for dermatologists and professional like healthcare workers and physicians, right? And she gave the program all this information on dermatology vetted scientific research and data so that it could really give really crystal clear, evidence-based, factual information, which sometimes with ChatGPT, the problem with ChatGPT as well, it's really amazing what it can do. And it can really do everything from helping you plan your week, planning a trip, to writing thank you notes, writing a presentation, right? But what it's doing, it's pulling from everything that's out there. And so when there's misinformation about something out there, you can get incorrect information or biased information. And sometimes it's obvious, like if you type in what's 2 + 2 and it tells you 8, you know that's not correct, right? But the problem is when there are what they call hallucinations, where the data that you receive looks and actually sounds really real, but it's not. And it's based off of fake news out there, false reports, and bad data. So if it's using bad data, it's going to give you bad data. But the trick with that is that you don't always know, and it can seem and sound really legit. So when using AI, right, there's always this caveat, like you still have to do your due diligence and you can't just take it all at face value. Like you need to make sure you vet it a little bit as well, especially if we're talking healthcare, right? Like if you are asking AI to help you diagnose something, right, it may not give you the most accurate information as if you went in and saw in person a dermatologist who looked at your rash, who took all the history and was able to actually see it in person. Now, don't get me wrong, there have been some pretty amazing stories of people who have had these medical mysteries and no one can diagnose them or figure out what's going on. And they type it into ChatGPT or whatever AI learning device, right? And they get the results back. And that's pretty phenomenal and pretty cool too. But I would say that's certainly not the norm. So especially with healthcare, you do want to make sure you're getting the best information. And just because ChatGPT says it's true, as good as it is, right, you do need to just make sure you're not getting something that's biased or actually false. So that's what I love about Derm GPT, right? They take just the derm literature, just derm-related scientific information and feed that to the algorithm so that it's pulling only from that information and not the whole World Wide Web and everything out there and any person saying anything. And so I do feel like that helps give you really validated information when you type it in there. And the platform, it can be helpful for people like me as a dermatologist, but it also can be helpful for someone who is just wondering what a good winter skincare routine can be, or what are the top recommended mineral-based sunscreens for babies, right? Like you can plug in all sorts of different things and get a lot of great information. So if you haven't used AI, maybe you've been hearing about it but haven't actually used it, I would highly recommend either go to ChatGPT or go to Derm GPT or whatever platform you want to use and just start playing around with it. And you'll realize like you can ask the question in different ways and get very different answers. You can ask it to be more detailed, right? If it doesn't give you a response you like, you can ask it to say it in a funny way or say it in a serious way, right? And just have fun with it, kind of play around with it. I've used it to help me plan vacations to cities that I don't really know, or if I'm thinking about going somewhere, I say, well, plan a 4-day, 3-night trip, family of 4. We want to do X, Y, and Z, and give us some restaurant recommendations. And it's really cool how it can pull out this itinerary for me, which of course then I'll go and vet a little bit better. So Dr. Kamangar has her finger on the pulse of like technology and AI in the healthcare space. And so I love that she was sharing with us how she feels like AI, especially the written form of AI, the text that you could type in for prompts and stuff like that, she feels like that is really solid and that we all should be using that in our lives to help make things easier, right? So you're not typing the same thing over and over again to people. It might help you jumpstart an idea or a presentation, right? But she does give a little more caution to using the visual AI, that isn't quite to the same level. And so this comes into play with dermatology, right? Because there are lots of apps out there that want you to be able to snap a picture of your rash or your mole or your skin lesion and then upload it. And then they say that they'll push out a result for you, whether what it is, and whether you need to worry about it or how to treat it, right? And in the future, we'll probably be there. Right now, though, the technology just isn't there. And so you wouldn't want to miss something. And certainly if you think something could be a skin cancer like a melanoma, or something's just not healing or a rash, you might be better off actually going in and seeing a dermatologist in person or your primary care doctor who can help evaluate it. So still use some caution with some of these visual apps that are out there, especially if they are promising to diagnose things, and certainly anything really life-threatening like a skin cancer, you should get an in-person evaluation. But do I think we'll get there? Yes, but we're just not there quite yet. I do know that some people fear AI is going to replace human interaction or maybe physicians completely. And I certainly know it's going to change how we practice medicine, but medicine has changed even from the 12 years when I started. And all this technology, we are just information overload. We are learning so much. There's so much information out there that I find that I use these tools to actually help me digest the latest, newest information so that I'm aware of what's going on, because I cannot possibly read every derm journal article that comes out and be on top of everything in my field, but I can use these programs to help me stay on top of my sort of niche area and field that I'm working on. I find that AI, rather than replacing people and replacing things at this point, it's more of an adjunct. It should be used to sort of help us make better, more accurate, more informed decisions. So perhaps a app that can help us scan moles or evaluate improvement in someone's psoriasis or acne, which sometimes can be very subjective, by using apps to compare and AI to assess different photos. That can be really, really helpful. We still need the doctor, the dermatologist there to make that call and ultimately create the treatment plan. But I think AI assisting with diagnosing skin cancers, if we can save patients from having to undergo biopsies that they don't really need, wonderful. And if we can use this technology to help us really pinpoint all the lesions that are of concern. Like I just saw a gentleman today and he was covered with moles. I mean, very difficult to evaluate him, even with photography, to evaluate every single mole and make sure each individual mole is not changing. And so I could totally see an AI program helping assist with that and really being revolutionary. And other cool things that AI are doing is it's really ramping up the time it takes for researchers to look into what drugs or molecules might be helpful or might be a treatment target, and then ramping up the time to develop this and then running clinical trials so that we can be bringing out medications and treatment options for patients in a much more condensed time frame. Right now, I feel like it takes 10, 20 years for a drug to be developed to go from start to finish. And with AI technology, it's really going to be compressed. And that's wonderful. That's great for patients because they're going to get better care and faster, right? Which is what we all want in this digital age. So Do I think AI is replacing doctors or replacing your relationship with your healthcare provider? Absolutely not. But I see it totally augmenting it, enhancing it, right? I would love for AI to help do a lot of the busy work that physicians have to do behind the scenes or their staff so that we can see more patients, that we can spend more time with our patients one-on-one, because that's honestly why we all became physicians, not sit behind a computer clicking buttons and checking boxes, right? So it is so cool. AI, it's so neat. It's amazing. I am really incorporating it into my daily life. I probably use it daily almost at this point, or pretty darn close to it. And definitely a really cool technology. So if you have not started using AI, try checking out dermgpt.com. Really cool program. If you've got skin questions, give it some queries. You'll get some really great information out there. And if you want to hear all the great tidbits and pearls that Dr. Kamangar shared with me, be sure to check out the full episode here, and I will see you next week.